Family doesn't keep secrets. My mother said it like she was reminding me to put a dish in the sink. Calm, casual, almost bored. But that sentence had teeth in my house. By the time she said it, she was already upset that I owned something she hadn't known about. And the truth is, that reaction should not have surprised me. Nothing about my family ever stayed simple once money touched it. Not help, not gifts. Not success. Definitely not boundaries. Still, there was a time when I thought, if I worked hard enough, earned enough, gave enough, things would eventually feel balanced. They never did. I'm Suzette Lucio. I'm 34, and I own 2 restaurants that sound a lot more glamorous than they feel. At 6 in the morning when a supplier is texting, a dishwasher called out, and I'm eating cold fries over a trash can because I forgot lunch again. Most days, my life moves in tickets, invoices, grease burns, and half-finished thoughts. I wear black so stains show less. I keep one AirPod in even when I know I shouldn't. I answer texts too fast. I sleep too little. I have the kind of tired that settles into your bones and starts paying rent. Daniel says I don't sit down when I eat. He's right. He also says I say, "I'm fine," in the exact same voice, whether I'm actually fine or 2 seconds from crying in the walk-in freezer. He's right about that, too. I run a downtown bistro and a brunch place across town. One feeds my bills, the other feeds my anxiety. Somewhere in between, I became the person everybody called when something went wrong. That started way before the restaurants. In my family, being the reliable one sounded like praise when people said it out loud. What it really meant was this: if something broke, I covered it. If someone was short, I fixed it. If there was a mess, I got handed a mop and a guilt trip. Gas money until Friday. Tuition just this once. A bill that couldn't wait. A problem that was temporary. Temporary in my family had a way of lasting years. I started working young. By 15, I already knew what that pause sounded like before someone asked for money. By college, I stayed local to save costs, worked nights, and sent money home so often it stopped feeling like generosity and started feeling like rent for a role I never applied for. No one said, "You owe us." They didn't have to. It lived underneath everything. Even after I built something of my own, it followed me. When I opened my first restaurant, my parents showed up on opening night dressed like they were attending a funeral for my free time. My father shook my hand with this strange formal pride, like I'd just closed a business deal with him personally. My mom hugged me, cried into my shoulder, then pulled back and said softly, "Just don't forget where you came from." It sounded loving if you didn't know her. I knew her. That sentence wasn't warmth. It was a leash. And maybe that's why the cabin mattered so much. Not because it was huge. It wasn't. Not because Aspen sounded fancy. It did, but that wasn't the point either. It mattered because it was quiet. 2 bedrooms, a loft, clean air, snow in the winter, silence that didn't ask anything from me. The first time I stood inside it, I remember thinking that the whole place felt like an exhale. No phones ringing. No staff questions, no family emergencies, no one needing a favor, just stillness. I bought it after years of double shifts, burns on my wrist, late payroll stress, and the kind of exhaustion that makes you stare at a wall before starting your car. It was the first thing I had ever owned that felt untouched by other people's expectations. Of course, I couldn't leave it sitting empty all year. I'm sentimental, not stupid. There was a mortgage, taxes, maintenance. So I set it up as a rental when I wasn't using it. I hired a management company. Digital locks, clean rules. Confirmed bookings only. Structure. Order. Everything my family turned into chaos. And because I know my family, I didn't tell them about it. Not at first. That wasn't me being sneaky. That was me trying to keep one thing from becoming public property the second people found out it existed. I told 3 people. My accountant, my business partner, Daniel. That should have been safe enough. It wasn't. A cousin found the listing online and sent it to my mother, which is how I ended up standing in my apartment kitchen after a 14-hour day, shoes still on, staring at my phone while it lit up with messages. "Is this yours? Aspen? Wow. Must be nice. Then my mom called. No hello. No small talk. Why didn't you tell us? I leaned against the counter and shut my eyes for a second. Because I wanted one thing that didn't immediately become a family discussion. Silence. Then that little laugh she does when she wants you to know she's offended, but also that you've already lost. Suzette, she said. Family shares. I looked at the dark window over my sink and saw my own reflection staring back at me. Hair tied up badly, mascara smudged, face drawn from another double shift. I should have let the call end there. Instead, I tried to explain. The mortgage, the bookings, the management company. The fact that it wasn't some empty vacation toy I could hand out whenever somebody felt entitled to it. For a second, I thought maybe practicality would reach her. It didn't. So, random strangers can stay there, she said, her voice flattening. But your own parents can't? That was the pivot. The moment the cabin stopped being something I had bought and became, in her mind, something I was withholding. After that, it kept coming up. Not loudly at first, just little comments. A tone, a look. A sentence dropped into the middle of something unrelated, like a blade slid across the table under a napkin. And then one night, after one brutal Sunday shift and one family dinner I should have skipped, my mother smiled across the table and said something that changed the air in the room. She said it like she was mentioning the weather. Oh, by the way, we're using your cabin for our anniversary. I didn't react right away. I just stared at her, waiting for the part where she laughed or added, if that's okay. It never came. The Aspen one, she added, glancing at me like I needed clarification. Just us. Maybe the Rodriguezes for a couple nights. My dad lifted his glass slightly. Family shares. No one questioned it. Not Mateo, not Liana. Not even a flicker of hesitation. They were already in on it. Something in my chest tightened. Not sharp, just familiar. I set my fork down. You didn't ask. My mom blinked, like that detail was irrelevant. We're telling you now. That's not the same thing. She waved her hand lightly, already moving on in her head. It's our 40th anniversary, Suzette. It's not like we're strangers. That week is booked. That made her pause, but only for a second. So move it. I let out a quiet breath, watching her face. There was no curiosity there, no consideration, just expectation, like the outcome had already been decided. They paid months ago, I said. I can't just cancel it. My dad leaned back in his chair, expression tightening. You're really going to make this difficult? Difficult. That word landed heavier than it should have. Around the table, no one spoke. No one stepped in. It wasn't awkward for them. It was normal. That's when it clicked. This wasn't a misunderstanding. They didn't forget to ask. They just never planned to. And sitting there, listening to them talk about plans that weren't theirs to make, I realized something I should have understood a long time ago. If I said yes again, it wouldn't stop here. I sat in my office staring at the booking calendar longer than I needed to. Their anniversary week was locked, paid in full. A family I'd never met had planned their trip months in advance. Flights, time off, probably kids excited about snow. I knew exactly what canceling would mean. Money lost, reputation hit, a ripple effect that didn't just disappear because someone decided they deserved something more. Still, I called my mom. She picked up fast. Too fast. Oh, good, she said, bright and easy, like we were continuing a conversation we'd already agreed on. I've been looking at trails near the cabin. Do you have proper knives there, or should I bring mine? I might cook. Give you a break from your chef life. Like it was already hers. I leaned back in my chair, pressing my fingers against my forehead. We need to talk about the dates. A pause. Then the shift. Suzette, don't start. I'm not starting anything. I'm explaining. That week isn't available. Silence stretched just long enough to feel deliberate. What do you mean, not available? It's booked. They reserved it months ago. If I cancel, I lose money and I screw over people who planned ahead. Her voice cooled instantly. So that's what this is about? Money? I let out a breath through my nose. It's about commitments. It sounds like money matters more than your parents' anniversary. There it was. Same script, different setting. That's not what I said. It's exactly what you said, she replied, calm in that way that meant she'd already decided I was wrong. You're choosing strangers over your own family. I closed my eyes for a second. I'm choosing to honor a booking. You can go any other week. I'll block it off for you if you just... There was movement on her end. A chair scraping. My dad's voice in the background. What's going on? She's refusing, my mom said, not even bothering to lower her voice. Says money matters more than family. The phone shifted. Then my dad was there. What is this? He asked, already irritated, like I'd interrupted something important. After everything we've done for you? I stared at the wall in front of me. Everything you've done for me? I repeated quietly. Like what? A beat. Then he pushed right through it. We raised you. We supported you. My jaw tightened. And I've been supporting all of you for years. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. Liana's tuition. Mateo's legal fees. Your taxes. Mom's medical bills. Silence. For a second, it actually landed. Then, that's what family does, he snapped. Exactly. That was the problem. Something in my chest started to build, not explosive, just pressure. Years of it, sitting there, waiting for a crack. Before I could say anything else, my mom took the phone back. Fine, she said lightly, like she was smoothing things over. We won't cancel anything. I frowned. What does that mean? It means we'll just go earlier. I blinked. Earlier? We'll use it before they arrive, she said, like she'd just solved a minor scheduling issue. It's not like they need the whole time. I actually pulled the phone away from my ear for a second, just to make sure I heard her right. That's not how this works. Oh, don't be dramatic, she said. We'll leave before they get there. No one even has to know. My hand tightened around the phone. No. She paused, not confused, annoyed. Why are you being like this? Because I wasn't folding. Because for the first time, I could hear how ridiculous it sounded out loud. Because it's my property, I said, steady now. There are contracts, liability, insurance. This isn't a spare room you can drop into whenever you feel like it. Silence. Then my dad again, colder this time. You've changed. A small, humorless breath escaped me. No, I said. I just stopped saying yes. That landed harder than anything else. You think you're better than us now? He pushed. I shook my head, even though he couldn't see it. No, I think I'm tired. For a second, no one spoke. Then my mom exhaled sharply. We're still going, she said. We already told people. Plans are made. You'll come around. There it was again. Not a question, a decision. Like my role was just to catch up. And something in me finally snapped. Not loud, not messy, just clean. Then you won't get in. Silence. Real silence this time. If you show up without a booking, I continued, my voice calm in a way that surprised even me, you won't have access. I'm not giving you the code. You wouldn't dare, my dad said. I swallowed, feeling my pulse in my throat. I would. You're nothing without this family, he shot back. That should have hit harder. Instead, it felt familiar. Like something I'd been carrying for years without realizing it had weight. You didn't pay for that cabin, I said quietly. You don't get to claim it. The line went still. Then my mom, tight and furious. We'll see about that. The call ended. I sat there, phone still in my hand, listening to the low hum of the fridge behind me. Out in the kitchen, someone laughed. Orders started printing again. Life kept moving like nothing had just shifted. But I knew it had, because for the first time, I didn't back down. And for the first time, I had the feeling words weren't going to be enough. The group chat lit up that night like nothing had happened. We're still going to Aspen for our anniversary, using Suzette's cabin. She'll calm down. Heart reactions, thumbs up, casual agreement. Like I wasn't even in the conversation. I stared at the screen for a long time, reading the same lines over and over until they stopped feeling like words and started feeling like something heavier. Then I opened the management app. My finger hovered for a second, just one. Long enough to recognize the version of me that would have let it go, smoothed it over, fixed it quietly. Then I hit call. "Hi, Suzette," my rep answered, professional, steady. "What can I help you with?" I straightened in my chair. "I need to update access rules for the property, effective immediately." "Okay." "No one gets in without a confirmed booking." A small pause. "Understood." "No exceptions," I added. "No early arrivals. No favors. If there's no reservation attached to their name, they don't get access." Another pause, slightly longer this time. "Got it." I hesitated, just for a moment. Then I said it. "My parents might try." Silence on the other end shifted. Not confusion, not surprise, just understanding. "Do you want us to deny entry if they show up?" I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. I could see it clearly, every version of me that would have said no to that question. The one who would have apologized for the inconvenience. The one who would have sent the code anyway. The one who would have paid for the cancellation just to avoid the conflict. I let that version sit there for a second. Then I let it go. "Yes," I said, "do not let them in." "Understood." The call ended. For the next few days, everything looked normal. Too normal. My mom kept posting like the trip was already happening. Photos, smiles, hashtags about love and 40 years and finally getting away. At one point, she even wrote, "Celebrating at our daughter's Aspen home." Not hers, ours. I didn't comment, didn't react. I just worked. Back-to-back shifts, orders, noise, heat, the kind of routine that leaves no room to think too much. But in the quiet seconds, walking between stations, wiping my hands, checking tickets, I kept wondering, maybe they'll stop. Maybe this time they'll actually listen. The morning they left, I was already deep in service prep. My phone buzzed once. I ignored it. Then again. And again. By the time I stepped into the hallway and checked the screen, it was already stacked with missed calls. Mom, Mom, Mom. Dad. A message popped up. "The code isn't working. Send the new one." I stared at it. My thumb hovered over the screen. Then I typed back. "If you don't have a booking, you don't get a code." 3 dots appeared instantly. "We're outside." The phone rang again, but this time it wasn't them. It was the property manager. I answered. "Hi, Suzette," she said carefully. "Your parents are here. They're asking for access. Just confirming." In the background, I could hear my mom's voice, sharp, raised, cutting through the line. "This is ridiculous. Call her again. We're her parents." My chest tightened, but not from doubt, from recognition. I'd heard that tone my entire life. The certainty that if they pushed hard enough, I would fold. The manager spoke again, quieter this time. "Do you want us to keep the door locked?" I closed my eyes just for a second, then, "Yes." A beat. "Do not let them in." Understood. The line went dead. For a moment, everything felt too still. Then my phone started ringing again. Over and over and over. And this time, I didn't pick up. The phone kept vibrating in my pocket while I was plating orders. Ticket after ticket, heat rising off the line, someone calling out behind me. Normal noise, normal movement. Except my hands felt slightly off, like everything was a fraction of a second slower than usual. I didn't answer, not until service ended. The restaurant emptied out slowly, the way it always does. Chairs scraping, low conversations fading, the hum of the kitchen settling into quiet. I leaned against the counter, wiped my hands, and finally picked up my phone. I called back. She answered immediately. "How could you do this?" No hello, no pause. Her voice cracked, but not in a way that sounded fragile. It sounded sharp, humiliated. "We're outside," she continued. "People are staring. Your father is freezing." I leaned my head back against the wall. "You shouldn't have come without a booking." Silence. Then it snapped. "We drove 8 hours, Suzette. I told you not to. We're your parents." And I said no. That one landed. I could feel it, even through the line. A shift. Then my dad's voice cut in, low and tight. "You're embarrassing us." Something in my chest went still. Now you know how that feels. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was heavy. He didn't answer right away, so I kept going. Not louder, just clearer. "I've covered your taxes, your medical bills, Liana's tuition, Mateo's lawyer." Each word steady, measured. "I've shown up every single time something went wrong. For years." No interruption. "That cabin," I continued, "I paid for it, every inch of it. It's not shared property. It's not a family asset. It's mine." My mom made this small, disbelieving sound, like I'd just said something ridiculous. "So you're choosing strangers over us?" I shook my head, even though she couldn't see it. "No, I'm choosing respect." My dad exhaled sharply. "You're going to regret this." "Maybe, but not for the reasons he thought." "I regret a lot of things," I said quietly. "This isn't one of them." I ended the call before they could answer. For a second, everything was quiet. Then the messages started. Group chat, one after another. "How could you do this?" "They're outside. It's their anniversary." Liana jumped in, Mateo right behind her. My mom sending long paragraphs about sacrifice, about everything they'd done, about how this was betrayal. I read all of it, didn't respond. Not right away. Because something inside me had shifted again. Not anger. Not hurt. Clarity. I opened my files, scrolled, found the folders I never thought I'd need to show anyone. Transfers, receipts, tuition payments, medical bills, legal fees. Years of it. I didn't explain anything. I just started uploading, one by one. Dates, amounts, proof. The chat kept moving at first, then it slowed, then stopped. No reactions, no arguments, just silence. A few minutes later, my aunt replied, "I didn't know." That was it. No defense, no pushback, just that. Then my mom left the group. Mateo disappeared next. Liana went quiet, and just like that, it was over. I sat there alone, staring at my phone, the weight of everything finally catching up to me. And for the first time in a long time, I cried. Not because I felt guilty, because I didn't. The next morning, my property manager sent me a photo. A family standing outside the cabin. Kids laughing, snow everywhere. A little girl holding a crooked snowman. They had a booking, they had the code. Everything exactly the way it was supposed to be. And something in my chest finally loosened. For a long time, I used to think silence meant something was wrong. Now, it feels like space. It's been about a year since that night. We don't do holidays together anymore. Sometimes weeks go by without a single message. sometimes longer. And when we do talk, it's careful, measured. Like everyone finally understands there's a line now. No one says it out loud. They don't have to. The cabin is still there. Same quiet, same snow, same stillness that doesn't ask anything from me. But the rules are different now. Everything is written. Bookings only. No favors, no exceptions. And the strange thing is, I don't feel the need to explain it anymore. I don't rehearse conversations in my head. I don't brace myself before saying no. I just say it and let it stand. I started therapy a few months after everything happened. Not because things fell apart, because for the first time, they didn't. I learned what boundaries actually look like. They're not loud. They're not angry. They don't need to prove anything. They're quiet, steady, and they don't move. I still work too much. I still forget to eat sometimes. I still check my phone more than I should. But there's one thing that changed. When something doesn't feel right anymore, I don't try to fix it for everyone else. I let it be what it is. Because family isn't supposed to feel like something you owe. And sometimes, the only way to keep something that's yours is to stop letting other people treat it like it's theirs.